Throughout the 1990s, Bone Thugs-n-Harmony united fans around the world with their unique mix of heartfelt harmonies and a never-heard-before technique. The members were just as tight offstage too, bound both by family ties and the hard times they struggled through together. But even as the group transcended their roots through music, the conditions that they sang about would revisit them as well. The 5 teenagers that became Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, brothers Stephen House, better known as Lazy, and Stanley House, better known as Flesh and Bone, their cousin Charles Struggs, better known as Wishbone, and close friends Anthony Henderson, better known as Crazy Bone, and Byron McCain, better known as Busy Bone, came of age together in an area of Cleveland called Glenville. The area was full of the things that the group would go on to make music about: criminal activity, drugs, and death. While hanging out on the streets, the boys would sing old songs. Then they decided to switch things up a bit by adding their own harmonies and more words to the verses, forcing them to speed up their delivery. They took their talents to the hallways of their school as well, battling other people under the name the Band-Aid Boys. After winning some talent shows, they changed their name to Bone Enterprise, consisting of Lazy, Crazy, Busy, and Wish. In 1993, under their new name, they recorded a locally produced album titled Faces of Death. Now, going by just Bone, they were on their way. Or so they thought. Things actually got harder because the music scene in Cleveland was so limited. They knew if they really wanted to make a name for themselves, they had to leave. So they scraped together every penny they had for one-way bus tickets and headed out to Los Angeles in hopes of getting in touch with their idol, NWA founder and Ruthless Records owner, Eazy-E. They called Ruthless every single day. One day, Eazy himself picked up the phone. Crazy and Busy both rapped for him. Eazy loved what he heard and told the group he'd get back to them. He didn't. All hope wasn't lost though, as the group found out he was getting ready to head over to Cleveland to do a show. So back to Cleveland the group went and tracked Eazy down backstage. Lazy rapped for him this time, and that was all Eazy needed to see. The group actually had a song called Thugs-n-Harmony. After Eazy heard about it, he said they should change their name to the phrase. The group really wanted to keep the name Bone though, so they compromised, becoming Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. Soon after that, Eazy set up a recording session in LA. The first result was a song about their Glenville roots, released in 1994, called Thuggish Ruggish Bone, featuring Louisiana-born singer Shatasha Williams.
It's the thuggish ruggish bone. It's the thuggish ruggish bone.
It became a top 30 pop hit and shot to number 2 on the rap chart, transforming Bone Thugs into hometown heroes. As the single rose up the charts, Eazy signed the group, minus Flesh and Bone, to a long-term deal. Bone Thugs-n-Harmony's debut album with Ruthless was an 8-track EP titled Creepin' on a Come Up, and dropped in the summer of 1994. It included the hit single Thuggish Ruggish Bone, as well as the follow-up, For the Love of Money, featuring Eazy-E. The latter became another top 5 rap hit. Eazy continued to nurture Bone Thugs' career over the better part of a year. Sadly, the growing relationship was cut short when Eazy died on March 26, 1995, from complications from AIDS-related pneumonia. He was 31 years old. While mourning their mentor, the group dedicated the project they just completed to him, their second studio album called E1999 Eternal. It was released in the summer of 1995. It features the singles First of the Month, East 1999, and the track that would go on to be the most successful of their career, The Crossroads. It hit number 1 on the pop, rap, and R&B charts, sold double platinum, and won the Grammy for Best Rap Performance by a duo or group. While dealing with the loss of Eazy, the group struggled to come to terms with their new boss at Ruthless Records, Eazy's widow, Tamika Woods Wright. Taking direction and orders from anyone, other than Eazy, wasn't, well, easy. The following year, Flesh and Bone would become the first member of the group to release a solo album titled Thugs, which stands for True's Humbly United Gathering Souls. Due to their success thus far, Bone Thugs established Mo Thugs Records to introduce many of the Cleveland-based and other artists that they were developing. They also put together a hip-hop collective of the same name. The group's first album, called Family Scriptures, was released in the fall of 1996. It was a success, peaking at number 2 on both the Billboard 200 and top R&B hip-hop albums, and went platinum. Bone Thugs went back into the studio and came out with a double album called The Art of War in 1997. The lead single and the most successful of the body of work, Look Into My Eyes, also appeared on the soundtrack of the film Batman and Robin. It peaked at number 4 on the Hot 100 and number 2 on the rap chart. Fans will notice, though, that Busy does not appear in the song's music video. His absence was fueled by resentment over the contract Bone signed with Eazy and his increasingly hostile relationship with Tamika.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I felt as though that Bone Thugs and Harmonies should have been cared for like New Kids on the Block. I felt as though, our money should have been a little better distributed. I felt as though we should have been able to handle our own money.
Everything was under court supervision. So any and everything that was done, whether it was a penny that was being spent, had to be court approved.
I think I kind of gave her more of a chance than, her, she don't know what she doing. And it was like a million people doing that already. Her husband died of full-blown AIDS. Give her a break for a minute, man.
I mean, this was an estate that stayed open for 9.5 years. So those were things that Bone didn't deal with.
10 years from now, where are we gonna be? We really, really need to get a larger chunk of our percentage now. So that's kind of like where I was, and I couldn't get anyone to hear me. So I would kind of not be a part of certain songs that maybe I didn't think should have been singles. Not always right.
Another single, If I Could Teach the World, peaked at number 20 on the Hot 100, number 3 on the rap chart, and won an American Music Award. Once again, Busy blew off the video shoot, and his erratic behavior was becoming cause for alarm among friends and his bandmates.
I'm gonna be honest with you, those years passed me by because I was so drunk and I was so high. My grandparents were drinkers. My mom was a weed smoker. I grew up around it. So I think it was not only my environment or my upbringing, but in my bloodline.
Around this time, both him and Crazy dropped their solo debut albums. In 2000, Bone Thugs released their 4th studio album titled BTNH Resurrection. While it captured the number 2 and number 1 spots on the Billboard 200 albums chart and top R&B hip-hop albums chart, respectively, and went platinum, none of the singles did well. By this point, Flesh, who was always known to be a laid-back dude, began acting out and running up a substantial criminal record. There were charges for possessing an explosive device, discharging a firearm with negligence, and for threatening a friend with an AK-47. He also started smoking Sherm, a highly addictive substance consisting of a tobacco or marijuana cigarette dipped in liquid PCP. One 4th of July weekend, a verbal dispute between Flesh and a next-door neighbor boiled over. Flesh claims that no physical violence occurred that day, but a court found him guilty of assault with a deadly weapon, along with criminal possession of a firearm by a felon. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The following year, Lazy dropped his solo debut album, Thug by Nature. It was released under his El Burna alias. Now, with Flesh locked up, the rest of the members of Bone Thugs carried on. Their 5th album, and last for Ruthless Records, Thug World Order, dropped in 2002. It features a surprise hit single with British singer Phil Collins called Home. The group even went all the way to Switzerland, where Phil was, to shoot the video. But again, Busy was nowhere to be found. According to him, he was out of commission from being constantly high and constantly drunk. That was apparently the last straw for the other members, who were tired of making excuses for him. So, at the start of 2003, Busy was expelled from the group, leaving only 3 active members: Crazy, Lazy, and Wish. The trio forged ahead and dropped Thug Stories in 2006 on Cock Records. It was quickly followed by Strength and Loyalty on Interscope Records imprint Full Surface Records the next year. The latter debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and number 1 on iTunes. The first single, I Tried, featuring Akon, became their first top 10 hit in 10 years, peaking at number 6 on both the Hot 100 and rap charts. Also that year, the group won the American Music Award for Favorite Rap or Hip Hop Band, Duo, or Group. After serving close to 8 years, Flesh was released from prison in the summer of 2008. There to greet him as he walked out the door was Lazy, Wish, Crazy, and Busy, creating a Bone Thugs reunion after nearly a decade. 2 years later, Bone Thugs-n-Harmony's 5 members officially reunited with the album Unified, The World's Enemy in 2010, by their own record label, BTNH Worldwide. The Art of War, World War III was released in 2013. While listed as a Bone Thugs-n-Harmony album, New Waves, released in 2017 by Entertainment One Music, only features 2 out of 5 members of Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, Crazy and Busy, a duo simply known as Bone Thugs. On December 2nd, 2021, Bone Thugs-n-Harmony competed in a versus battle with longtime rival group 3-6 Mafia, where all 5 Bone Thugs and all 4 still living Mafia members took part. They were also accompanied by many guests the 2 groups worked with over their careers. Busy was escorted off stage at one point, though, for throwing a bottle at Juicy J, but soon returned and apologized as the show resumed without incident. In July 2024, the group, as well as mixed martial artist fighter Conor McGregor, announced on social media that Bone Thugs had officially signed to Conor's new label, Greenback Records. The current touring lineup of Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, celebrating 30 years in the music business, includes Crazy, Lazy, Wish, and Flesh, 4 out of the 5 original members. Busy has opted to do his own thing, which most recently consists of promoting his latest self-titled album that dropped on September 12th.